All right. So want me to share my screen now, or should I share my screen now?
Sure. Let's just say hello to people though when they're first coming.
Okay.
Share your screen.
So all the people that we're seeing that are on are going to be showing up across the top there.
Yeah, I think so. And we're live. All right, Don. So how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Doing good. So we wanted to welcome everybody.
Welcome.
Today we're going to talk about our templates with Cottage Blanks and how easy it is to work with them, whether you're a seasoned art professional like Don here, or if you're like me who just sort of knows how to use PicMonkey and a few other programs, but is not necessarily an expert. So, Don, why don't you start with how you begin to set things up?
Okay. I'm assuming that the majority of the people are using 8.5 by 11 printers. So I'm going to set up my file for using an 8.5 by 11 printer. Sharing my screen.
Share your screen.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen okay?
This looks great.
Okay. All right. So like I said, I'm going to set this up for 8.5 by 11. That's kind of a standard printer. And from what I understand, we're doing the, today we're doing the ornament for the camper, correct?
Yeah, we're going to do the ornament for the camper because it's, you know, a little bit of a unique shape. So we want to show how easy it is to work with these unique shapes.
Okay, so if you've been with a person that's ordered one of these shapes, then you would, there would be a template included with it. So you know where the cut lines are and the bleed is and everything. And that's what we're gonna open up first, is we're gonna show you what one of our templates looks like in case you don't know what they look like. So I'm gonna set up my file here. I'm gonna set it up for, like I said, for an 8.5 by 11 printer. You want to set it up for 300 DPI. And then I don't know, we use RGB color space. Some people use different color spaces, but the particular one we use is this. So I have my 8.5 by 11 border, so I'm going to call this layer my by 11 sheet size. Oh, I didn't have by 11 paper. Like so. And then the next step I need to do is I need to go get the template. Like I said, we're usually furnished with the purchase of our items.
Yeah, so if you order any of our items, then we send you the template. So it's nice and easy to work with.
And this particular, like I said, I'm showing here today, I'm showing this in Photoshop. Photoshop, keep in mind, is a program for designing things, but it's not really a layout program. So when I get my final design, you know, then you export out a file that you can use with whatever your output software is for your printer. So I'm going to place the template first.
Oh, look at all the holiday stuff.
By placing this file here, it's going to bring it in a separate layer, and it's going to actually say what is on this layer. And it's as you can see, it's saying next, and then our number, and then our 18 camper ornament template. So it's in the center of the sheet right now. So then the next step is you have to create your masks. In Photoshop, you got to create masks for masking off all your images. So my first mask, how is going to be my proof mask. So it's going to show me non-bleed, what it's going to look like without bleed. Sometimes that's kind of nice to have when you want to show your, in our case, sometimes customers want to see what it's going to look like before we actually print it. So that's why we do that. And then you got to have bleed, and the bleed is something that a lot of printers don't understand, where bleed is where you actually have to have image go off the edge of the cut image, because otherwise you're going to have a white line around the outside edge. So you got to make sure there's color all the way out past what the trim line is.
Yeah, and it's a great way to ensure that every single inch gets printed. So Don, you haven't even commented on my outfit today. You know,
Yeah,
neat.
it's your Halloween outfit for your Halloween party you're going to, correct?
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. My
And
boyfriend is going as James Bond, and
wow,
I am
it looks very nice.
the lady
It's very gold.
singer. There's going to be more glitter, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's glitter will just be coming off of me. I'll be like a glitter bomb. What are you dressing up as?
I'm not going to a Halloween party.
I think you should still dress up for the trick-or-treaters.
I haven't dressed up for trick-or-treaters for a long time. I know years ago when my kids were younger, my wife and I we bought this thing you just put over your shirt. It was like a large French fry from McDonald's. That was the extent. I've never really dressed up too much for costumes, never really got into the costume thing too much. Okay, so
Sorry for distracting. Where are we here?
So I'm creating these layers, because in Photoshop it's always best to work in layers, because you can keep turning on and off layers when you need to. So what I got to create now is like this red area here, as you can see on there in our template, the red area signifies the trim area, and then the yellow or the green area shows where the bleed is. Basically, usually, excuse me for a moment. Put that on hold. One moment here. There. So the green is for the bleed. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create my mask for these things, and by doing that, I select my selection tool up here out of the toolbox, and I can just click, and then basically you can see it highlighted, just the red area.
Nice.
Then I'm gonna go to edit cut. That's gonna cut out my window for me. There. Now you can see that my little window there is where my cut line is. See, I can turn this template layer on and off here, so I can always see where I'm at on my, I can always see what I'm creating. That's what's nice about using layers, is you can turn them on or off, for doing it. And next I'm gonna choose my yellow here. And then I got to go move that to my bleed mask, and I'm gonna cut that. As you can see, it's selecting the outside edge, so I have to go in and change that here. I'll show you. See, I got this inside area left from my thing, so I just select that, and then I just get rid of that because I don't need that in there. So now I have this is my bleed area for my template, as you can see here. And then I got my mask area here, as you can see. So everything I bring in is going to be created into here, into this area here. Now I'm just going to bring in a couple of pictures, clip art that I chose. I know some of the programs like Erika uses are more clip art friendly. They have basically different choices that you can use for using clip art. Well, Photoshop doesn't have clip art. You basically have to go find the images that you want to use, and then find them first and then place them into the document. The clip art isn't built into the software because it's basically a more advanced software for creating color things, but it can also be used for things like this. So I'm just going to go get a sample image here. I'm going to place it. I like to place all my files, because then when it comes into my file, it tells me which file it is. And I'm just going to go on. I'm going to pick this little snowflake background. I can put that in there.
Oh, cute.
So that's in there now, and you can see here now I can resize. I want to resize this to fit my bleed. You always want to have your bleed mask layer on, because you want to see where your outside your color is. See, so then I can see, you know, how much I need to enlarge it. And then I can move this behind and now so I can actually see where I'm moving it to. Transform scale. Where I'm moving it to. So there's that. So now I got my background there. And then if I want to see what it's going to look like without bleed, then I just turn this layer on. You can see then you know exactly what it's going to look like, you know, when the product's finished. You can see the outside edge where the product finishes. So now I can bring in another image, you know, whatever image you want. I want to bring in looks like I have a little Christmas tree here I can bring in. Christmas isn't too far away.
Christmas is not too far away.
Whatever size I want.
I've started holiday planning.
Now that's in there. So now I'm going to dump, you know, I got my proof master and I got to check to make sure nothing's going to get cut off. As you can see there, looks like it's a little tight. By having these layers, being able to turn it on and off, you can visually see, you know, where your image goes out to. So I'm looking at that tree and I'm thinking, wow, that tree's a little bit big. I better scale it a little bit more. So I'm going to go to transform scale again. And we'll just drop it in there, just a sample there. So now I got that in there, and then I don't know, maybe we can add one more little image in here just to show you how to you can keep adding images as you want. I'll add another one here. Or maybe I'll put a candy cane or something in there. Looks like a nice candy cane, huh?
It's very cute. The bow is
And we'll
cute.
reduce that down. You can choose your own styles or your own direction. Now, if I want to add some text to this, I got to go to my text tool here in Photoshop, and then I choose that here, and then I just click, and then I can type something like Christmas. And we'll click to select all the text, and then you can change the size. And you can change the color in here.
Are you gonna go with like red?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with like a red.
Nice.
Like that looks like a pretty nice bright red there. And then up here in this corner here is my tool for moving things around in Photoshop. It's called the move tool. You can move things around.
Okay, so
And then, you know, if you want to make a drop shadow on that, you can put a drop shadow in there if you want. You know, you can do all these basic items in here. So, and then I just got to make sure. So when I'm working here, I'm working with my proof mask on because I just kind of want to know that, you know, everything's going to fit within my, you know, within my boundaries. Not. Okay, so then once again, I have this layer here. You know, that is, you know, that's the template that came in when you bring it in. You always know where you're at. So basically now, so I'm gonna say this is my final image now. So I'm gonna turn on this. I'm gonna have on my bleed now. Now it's gonna show up all my bleed here. And as you know, when your printers, you can either, when you print out items, you have to mirror it because when you're actually printing it to the metal, you have to do it backwards. So basically you design it the right reading like I've done here, and then when you get your final product, you know, then you can either mirror it here now, or you can mirror it in your output software that you use for your printer. Usually most output software for printers make mirroring pretty easy, but it does have to be, you have to remember that it does have to be mirrored because you are printing backwards on your press. So I got this image now. So now I got, this is what I want to finish. So I'm gonna export this out, or I'm gonna save this as, you can save it as JPEG is usually a pretty good
do you
format.
print from JPEGs or do you print like because a lot of people
Oh,
print What, PDFs or something?
Most printers can use JPEGs, you can use PDFs too. PDFs are pretty, they're easy to send back and forth, but when you make a PDF, we'll just do a PDF since that's pretty standard. So we're gonna go File, Save As, and then you find your saving location. And I'll just name it. There's one thing I did forget to tell you.
Camper Christmas by Dawn.
Yeah, so I notice I have all these layers in here now, and in order to write out a PDF, it never used to be with this Photoshop, but it seems the new versions of Photoshop, at least with the software that we use here at Next Innovations, this file has to be flattened before it's outputted to the format we need. So I have to flatten this file.
Which squishes all the layers together,
Yep,
right?
it puts it all together, and basically all it's going to leave is what you have left, like that. And then you write out your PDF or whatever you want to.
So you just
You got
save
all
it.
these different options here. You can write them out as TIFFs. You can write them out as JPEGs. You can write them out as PNGs. Whatever your software requires. Generally, PDFs are pretty standard for all softwares. So I'm just going to choose PDF, and then I'll name this file. Tom's Camper Design. So then I'll spell. Okay, and then like I said, then when you export out a PDF, you got all these options. Like I said, we use RGB output. So I always output it on RGB because our particular printer software that we have at our company requires RGB. Some printers require CMYK and some print is RGB, but in our case it is. So
And what does RGB stand for?
red, green, black,
And what does CMYK stand for?
cyan, magenta, yellow, and black.
Nice.
Yeah.
You win the trivia prize.
Flatbed printers, a lot of flatbed printers that they use in the industry require CMYK files. Dye sublimation, the software, like I said, the software that we use requires an RGB file to get the. One thing that's nice about RGB is RGB has a little bit larger color space. You're going to get brighter colors with RGB than you are going to be with CMYK. Like if I was to convert this file to CMYK, the file, I can just show you real quick what they would look like. If I convert it, it seems that the colors get a little more subdued. They're not as bright as, what convert. If I convert this to CMYK. It didn't really seem to change too much, did it?
A little bit.
Change much at all, maybe just a little.
But
So I wrote out my PDFs now, so I'm gonna go to my file here. Let me see, I'll minimize all these windows here. I don't know, I'm just doing it to my desktop. Everyone has different place on their server where they save things.
I just got a message from Corey. He says RGB is red, green, blue.
Isn't that what I said?
That's what he says.
Isn't that what I said?
Maybe,
green,
maybe he
red.
said black, but I put you on the spot. So what can I say?
I said, I thought I said red, green, blue. Okay,
Yeah,
so
he said red, green, blue.
so Corey's watching out there somewhere, huh?
Corey's
So here's my PDF, my finished image, and basically what I'm going to do when I bring this into my software then is I remember you got to flip it. You can either flip it before you write out your PDF, or you can flip it in your software that you use for your printer. So that's now, I guess we're going to get to watch how Erika does hers next. So if there's, if anybody has any questions, I'm not sure if I can answer questions on here, or I can, but if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask.
They can put them in the comments on
comments?
the live, and we're looking at them. So If you
Okay,
have any questions, don't hesitate, or you can call Don direct
sure. I'll talk to you.
at 218-547-5990. He is our operator standing by. All right, so I am going to take the screen here, Don,
Okay,
and I am going to
I'm gonna close my window.
share
Seems like you're getting a lot of glare.
PicMonkey. So PicMonkey is an easy access sort of subscription-based program, similar to Canva, similar to a couple other programs out there. And what I like about PicMonkey is that it makes it easy for me to do a lot of things, whether it be, coming up with a thank you note for the Cottage Blanks orders that goes in with each order, or Etsy listing photos. So when I start, I'm going to do create new in PicMonkey, and I'm going to do blank canvas. Now in this, if I was doing an Etsy listing photo, they have some pre-set formats, so I don't have to like go and look them up, put in the pixels. It makes some of the steps a little easier, but they also have easy print sizes, like 8.5 by 11. So we're going to be doing this on an 8.5 by 11 sheet. From here, I'm going to be adding from Dropbox. You can add from Google Drive, from your computer. They have a hub with some things, and they have some stock things, but we're starting with the template. So I'm going to Dropbox where I have the templates, and PicMonkey likes, what do you call it? Ooh, it's the other cottage. PicMonkey likes PNGs versus PDFs when you're importing things. So I've already saved.
You have to convert it or something, correct?
Yeah, you can either, like in Dropbox, it's easy to convert because if you go into any item, you open it in Dropbox. And here, I'll just show you right here, make it nice and easy. In Dropbox, you can just open the item and you can choose to easily save it as a PNG. So we've got Cottage Blanks templates. So let's go into, let's say, the wall art. Any of these, I just open, let's do the small butterfly. I pull it up on the screen, I hit save as PNG, and it just pops another copy right into the Dropbox. That's a PNG, it just populated there. So today we're going to be doing the camper. So I've pulled up the template that I've already saved as a PNG, and you can open it here. Now you can do a PNG converter. There's free ones on the internet. You just look up PDF to PNG converter, but it's pretty simple. Okay, so I'm going to start by converting my background to a layer, and I am going to make this layer transparent. In change color, there's a little button, you hit transparent, nice and easy. And
That's why we work in layers, right? Because this makes it easier to move around to the different things to turn on or off to visually see what's all. It looks like your program uses layers also.
it does. They're right here on the right-hand side. So you can have pages and then layers. So you can do the pages in the layers. So I'm now going to remove the background from my camper layer. I'm now going to remove the background from my camper layer. And over here, underneath the little monkey, you go down and there's a little scissor tool, says remove background. You just click it. Nice and easy. And from here, I'm gonna crop it because I don't want to have all of this stuff that it didn't remove. So I'm just wanting to clean it up a little bit. So it's back over here, down close to the bottom, underneath that monkey again on the left-hand side, crop layer. And I pull it in and pull it in. And then I hit apply. And it's gone, nice and clean. Now from here, I want to add an outline for the camper so I know what I'm working with when I'm designing. And the way I do that is that I go to shadow and outline. I hit outline and I'm gonna make this color a nice dark blue because I like working with dark blue. And from here, I'm gonna hit knock out. That creates the outside mask. Now Dawn does, something super awesome and pretty easily technical, would you say, Dawn? I don't know, by creating the different masks, but I am not a designer and I just like to make things. So I won't be having the bleed on here, but I will be able to pull the bleed back up to check my design, which I'll do at the end. So
you're building your art on the bleed mask also, like I did.
I am, yeah. Because obviously we want the print to cover every single inch of our product. Okay, so from here I'm gonna bring in, I have a cute plaid that I have saved on my computer. Oh, that's one of our new products there. Oh, not this, I don't want to bring that. Okay, let's see. It was just there. Oh, there we go. I like this kind of like textured plaid. The beauty of sublimation is that you can print anything photorealistic. So it's nice to have something that actually does look realistic because it gives you a lot of options to work with. And I'm gonna make it just a little bigger to then, I'm gonna go over here and crop it so it's not so giant. I'm gonna hit apply. And at any point, if I don't like what I've done, I can just hit the undo button, which is nice, and it would take it back to its original size. So I'm gonna put the bleed layer on top so we can kind of see what we're working with here. And I think, Don, do you think I should put this on the bottom or on the top of our camper?
I think it looks pretty nice on the bottom.
Okay, so we're gonna leave it on the bottom. I kind of like this height. And I'm going to just crop it a little more on each side, so I'm not overprinting anywhere.
Could you change the color of that background at all if you wanted to, or did you have to get new clip art?
The way you change the color would be to apply a filter. So they have like, I could try, like, I can hit colors here and, change the temperature. I can make it more of a blue. That's really cute, actually. I like that color. Yeah, or make it cooler so you can change it there. Let's leave it that way. Let's have like a very merry, that's like, that looks sort of like snow in a way. It's that same wintry color palette. All right, so then on the top, I want to put in just a nice, easy block of color because I want to add like kind of the bling in my design through, like a Christmas tree, maybe some skis, I don't know. So over here, I go to graphics and there are all sorts of things you can choose, but as I'm starting with my initial design, I'm going to just choose a basic shape, going with a rectangle. boom, there it is. So for this one, I gotta make it just a little bigger, bring it out. And of course, I don't want it to be black, and I can line it up with PicMonkey. It just shows you when everything is lined up with the red lines, like, is it centered? Are you lining it up with the bottom? Pretty intuitive there with those easy red lines. And let's see what like a gray looks like, but let's make it more of a blue gray. Let's move this just a little. Oh yes, that was nice. There, oh, that's good, right? Right in there. Don, I want to hear you say stunning or something. Come on. I need some affirmation. All right. So again, we're going to move this back up to the top. We can see that we're right out to the bleed line on everything. Looks pretty cute. Now I want to go back to my graphics. What I like about PicMonkey is that it does have some easy to use graphics.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add a Christmas tree. Oop.
That generally with Photoshop, you have to go find the graphics that you want to use first. And there's a lot of free ones out there. All these ones that I used in the demonstration today were just free downloads. You don't have to buy them from anyone. There's many available free.
And I mean, I'm just going to scroll through so you can kind of get a feel. I think Canva is the same, where they have a lot of these things that are just sort of already there, which is as nice as, you know, you want to make something quick and you want it to be really cute. These are just sitting there waiting, ready to go. So for this one, let's do this tree. I think this one's really cute. So I just click on it. It immediately populates. And I got to keep my bleed in mind. I'm going to come back out a little here. And I can zoom in using these little buttons over there, which I love. So in looking at the tree, I'm probably going to bring it in just a little bit. Something that adds a nice touch for all things in PicMonkey, and especially in sublimation, is to add a drop shadow. So I'm taking my tree right here and I'm just clicking drop shadow, and boom, it gives it a little background, which adds some 3D kind of dimension to it. Next, let's put in a little text. Now I did one yesterday. I'm going to do the same. It's going to say merry and bright. And in here,
That's a nice preview of the text on the left there.
yeah, it's nice because you get to know what you're choosing. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do that in Photoshop or not. You didn't used to be able to, which would drive me crazy.
You have to choose something different and it would populate the, you know, the text or what it would look like, but you don't have a preview like what you're having there on the left.
Yeah. And I can be like somewhat indecisive when I'm designing. So, so then I want to change it up and try different things. And I mean, that's a nice thing about using a program like Canva or PicMonkey, because it gives you these sorts of options. So I'm in the handwriting section. What looks happiest and Christmassy? That's pretty cute. Do you like that, Don?
Yeah, it looks like you're gonna make it a nice color like red, right?
Yeah, or Chanel,
Chanel.
brush
color is that?
It smells delicious. All right.
It's like you changed the, oh, you're still deciding on a font.
I know, see, because that's how I am. I have a hard time deciding on a font. I'm like, what is going to be the best ever? So with this too, like, I kind of like this font. I am going to shrink it down, but it feels really like long. So what I can do is to go over here and where's my text box? There is a spot over here. Oh, come on. Where you can choose the line spacing, text spacing, there we go. So in here, I can choose the letter spacing. So this brings them a little bit closer together. Like, that's pretty cute. And then I'm probably gonna wanna put this on a second line. And let's make it red now so we can see how it pops. And maybe I'm gonna do a bright red with a drop shadow eventually. So going back to the line spacing, it's a little squished, right?
Yeah. it
So
looks
I'm
like
gonna do,
squished.
yeah. Is that better?
The end is a little big, but
So you want a different font, is what you're telling me.
oh, no, I'm just saying the end and the end is a little larger, I think. But I don't know, everyone has
know, it is.
personal
It's
preferences.
just that symbol on this font. Well, let's look at one other font. Find on, one other font.
So you just can't select the end and make that smaller?
You can't, you would have to do
Oh.
it like its own little text box.
Mm.
How's this one? Oh. Oop. Mm,
I mean, choosing the font can take
forever.
forever. There's only
Okay.
a billion of them to choose from.
I still like this one. And you know what? I don't really mind that and sign. The more I look at it, I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. So I'm going to shrink this a bit. And I'm going to give it a little, because I like it on the side. Maybe shrink it just a little more. Merry and bright. And let's hit it with that drop shadow too, just because it adds a nice texture. And this one, I don't want it to be so dramatic. So I'm just gonna bring it in just a little bit.
Drop
Okay.
shadow is also available to do in Photoshop. Also.
Yeah. And if I'm giving this away as a gift, I mean, it's nice to say 2021, or, you know, we did one for Don the other day where it said the burn-ins, so he could give it to all of his kids and they could all hang it on their trees. Because ornaments make great gifts, and you can tuck them in with your Christmas cards. Just pack them right up, nice and easy. There we go. And let's make that a little bit more. The Godfather. Do you like that one? Burn-ins. That's a little in your face. So this is honestly why I do like PicMonkey too, is because choosing a font is so hard sometimes. Here we go. That's a nice one. Now let's make that a bright, happy. What's going to stand out on? A blue?
Oh, you got to cover up
We
the
do
dark
that?
tree, so that's kind of hard.
I know. Then we got to put in a little banner. So let's put in a, I'm going to type in banner into graphics and see what comes up. We got this guy. It's pretty cute. So let's put that behind. Let's make it bigger. And let's flip it upside down. You can go over here and just rotate, boom, boom, like that. And we're gonna bring the burn-ins above it.
And
Those are pretty-
there she's showing exactly why it's nice to be able to work with layers, because you can see what's on each layer and move it one on top of the other.
Yeah, and I'm gonna move this tree in just a little bit so it doesn't look weird behind there. And we are pretty much set to go. So now I'm gonna import that template one more time.
Because you want to check where your trim is.
Yeah, because I want to check my
Well,
trim layer.
can't-
Again, I'm not the
have
graphic
to-
designer, somebody who likes to play around and create.
You can't use the one that you already brought in, the layer that you brought in already. If you moved it all the way to the back, couldn't you see where the trim is then? In your layers?
I probably, you know
Why
what?
don't you try that
John, I
once,
probably
Erika?
could.
Try that, see if that will work.
Okay. I'm in
It's just
this
a reference
situation.
point.
Hold
Just like when I had it in Photoshop, use it as a reference point.
on. Remove the knockout. So I bet that I can just take off the removing of the knockout. Let's see.
Or you can,
Okay, let's go to this one. And in here, I had done the shadow and outline, which is how I
you
created
might not be able to see
that
it.
outer line. And if I click on this and I undo knockout, it shows me here. So some of this is going to be just a little cut off. So this is where we can, you know, shrink things, make them a little smaller. And let's bring this in just a little more. Come on. There we go. What do you think, Don? Would your
Okay.
wife like this?
Yeah, it looks pretty good. So now you can,
Yeah. So, you know, I've got a couple options here because with this layer right here where I did the knockout, I don't really want it to print that blue circle where the hole goes, right? I
yes.
think that's a little weird.
As
So,
long as you have that
um,
line for a reference, I don't think you need the hole on the
Yeah.
inside.
right. So I'm going to hit knockout again, which was again under the shadow and outline. And then you go into the outline and you hit knockout. And I am going to, at this point, do an effect. Is it a pro effect? No, just a regular effect. What I want to do is to, oh, we go to edits. And from here, edits. Oh dear, now I have to remember. Edits. And I can hit clone. So the way clone works is like you choose a target. Do you see how it's like a little target?
Mm-hmm. Then you choose the color that you want to clone.
Yep, that's the part that I'm cloning. And then this is the part that I'm covering up. I just
Mhm.
think I think what I want to do is erase though. I don't think I want to clone. Erase is usually like sort of over here. So let me look here. Clone, dodge, levels, curve, crop canvas, basic edits, color changer, touch up. Here we go. There's erase. So this is going to be my eraser size. And when you see over here, it's pretty big. I can just do this. Oh, that's doing my outline. Huh. Well, if I spread it all the way out, that's not gonna help. Oh, no, that's not gonna be good at all. So now I hit undo.
So you always need to allow plenty of
I
time for
better hit
designing.
undo again. I better hit
Designing is a
it.
time consuming process and there's just no way else to get around it.
Yeah. So I guess what I could do is just to turn off this layer or delete this layer and line it up in the center when I go to print. Or, and okay, here's my other workaround. Let's put this over this under there. This is my other workaround right here. I am gonna just put a teeny tiny dot in the middle of the hole. So instead of it being like such a big hole that could maybe end up on my design, I'm gonna make my own little reference point right here. Whoop. And I'm gonna bring it in. And PicMonkey will tell me when I have it lined up. And then I can arrow it over right there. So that is my reference point for printing. And then I can delete this layer. And I'll know exactly where to line things up.
It's like that.
Ta-da! Yeah. Put it back on, just hit undo. And then take it off. Yeah, so that's some easy art kind of workarounds that we do. I am going to go over to the Facebook now and let's see if anybody has any questions for us. Okay. Jerry. Oh, Jerry Dyke just joined. Jerry, you kind of maybe missed, it says that you just joined, so you maybe missed a little bit of it, but if you have any questions for us, we are here to help. Do you have any questions? If you do, just comment in the Cottage Blanks. So Don, what's your favorite part about designing?
Just coming up with different designs that you know, that look colorful or for the season, or coming up with different ideas for things like, you know, for creating art, changing colors, things like that.
And where do you find inspiration?
Where do I find inspiration? The satisfaction of coming up with a product that you think looks really good in the end, I guess, is what the satisfaction part of it is.
Yeah.
And knowing that, you know, knowing that, especially if you're doing it at home, you know, knowing that you created it yourself, and kind of gives it an extra, you know, special thing, letting people know it if you're giving these as gifts or that you created it yourself. I guess that's the satisfaction part of it.
I like that too. I like looking and seeing what I've done. Oh, Diane Godfrey has a question. She says, what is the design program you like to use most?
Me, myself.
Yes, you yourself.
Yep, I like Adobe products. I use Illustrator and Photoshop all the time, and then I use InDesign for my layout properties. Like, for instance, if I was to set up this one that I created here, I would use InDesign to create my layout for an 8.5 by 11, so I could move it around on the sheet and get as many as I like. If I knew I was printing 20 of these, I just want to get as many of them as I can on the sheet. So yeah, that's probably the main reason why those are my favorite designing programs. They're probably the only ones I have experience with. I haven't had experience with the programs like what you're using. So that sometimes it's hard to learn new programs. But the one thing about the Adobe suite is, you know, it's not a inexpensive designing software at all. a lot of them come fairly cheaper. Some are even free, but just definitely my favorite program for designing it is definitely Illustrator and Photoshop. And then you have to keep in mind that designing things in Photoshop, everything eventually is a picture. Whereas using Adobe Illustrator, you can create vector graphics for like what we use. All our files that we use for cutting out our metal have to be created in a program that uses vector graphics. And Photoshop doesn't use vector graphics, so then you use Photoshop and Illustrator in tandem with each other to come up with your solutions.
So like basically you would use Illustrator, like if you were designing like say a wind spinner, but you wanted to put it on different size blanks, because then you could blow it up or shrink it.
Yeah. Generally what we do, of course, as you all know, we have different size blanks, and we have 6-inch, 10-inch, 16-inch blanks. And generally what we do is we create all our images using a 10-inch template. And then we just either reduce it or blow it up to the size that we need, so you can use the same artwork for all the different sizes.
Awesome. And that's that vector.
So, the 10 inches in the middle of our different size wind spinners that we have. So we generally do our designing, in a 10-inch template. And then,
Diane says sometimes Affinity works great also. I'm not even familiar with Affinity. There's so many programs out there. It's pretty wild. But you know what I will say is that, I learned PicMonkey really quickly. It's like really easy to use, which I think a lot of these are sort of like. They're not like, you're super technical. So with Photoshop, you know all the things, which is great. But whenever I have questions, I hop on YouTube and I just write in my question on whatever program it is. And there's usually a pretty quick video on how to get something accomplished. But we do have another video that you did where it kind of breaks down the steps of designing in Photoshop. And I think there's even a PDF to go with it. So that's up on the Next Innovations Cottage Blanks YouTube channel if you want to dig in a little deeper. And you designed a wind spinner with that one done?
what?
When the last video we did you do a wind spinner?
I
I was wearing the hat.
believe it was a wind spinner. Yeah.
So too.
Yeah, I think it was a 10-inch wind spinner, I believe, that we did. And
Yeah,
that particular one.
Yeah, and you had on a
And it's
camera.
using the same techniques that we used here today. Using the importing the template and creating your masks, from the template.
Yeah, and you're good with all those masks. I'm like, oh, well, I can make this work and I know it'll look good if I can just get it done quickly.
Yeah.
All right. So how about this, Don? What are you giving out for candy for Halloween?
We usually give out usually the fun size candy bars. You buy the ones that have them, but we don't up here in the North Country, of course, where I live. We don't have a lot of trick-or-treaters up here because we're way out in the woods. So, but I did when I did live in the southern part of the state, down there where when I had kids that I raised my kids my own, we always handed out all kinds of stuff, and it was always fun, to hand out and see all the kids and come to the doors. But up here, there just aren't many kids up here, and we're kind of out in the in the woods, so there's not as many trick-or-treaters.
You're like on a lake too, huh?
Yeah, I live on a lake too. Yeah.
Well, we do all buy Halloween candy really for ourselves, and I like, my weakness is Twix and Twizzlers and Snickers. Those are like my three that I always have to get, and peanut butter cups.
You have a lot of trick-or-treaters at your house?
A fair amount. I got the little pumpkins up and stuff like that. So hopefully there'll be a lot. Last year was so weird. I can't wait to actually be celebrating again. All right. Does anybody have any other questions for us while we're here? Oh, Jerry likes Twix and Reese's too. Well, if you guys do have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email us sales@nextinnovations.net.
Yes, .net,
.net.
correct. Yep.
Or give us a phone call. Don's available at 218-547-5990, and he loves to chat. So don't hesitate to
I
give.
love to chat and be helpful if I can.
He does. He's really great that way. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. And we look forward to the next one. If you haven't already gotten on our email list, hop on the website. We're sending out promos, and we've got some really exciting Black Friday specials coming up in like a month. And we're excited to be sharing these with you, but there's going to be some good deals to be had as you work on your holiday gift giving. And next week, Arnold will be presenting a bunch of giftables for the holidays, some things that are really great for making that, you know, you can make yourself and then send out and give away to all the people that you love, that they'll treasure forever. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye.